Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Top Tarot Miners. And just so you know, I am recording these live, but privately. I'm doing these after work when I get home, and it's just a quiet time for me to center and gather. So I will make sure to do open chats when I'm have a day off. I have a lot of cards on the table for you today, and this is the Four of Swords episode and some really beautiful things to share. So enjoy a cup of tea and reflect on these cards and take a deep breath. Margaret Peterson Tarot is in the center. I was just looking through all of the feather cards, and this one is really, really beautiful. Withdrawal, safety, and rest. Entering a peaceful space, body and mind at rest. No questions, no answers. Confused thoughts settle down. Space is created. Observe the flow of your breath through your nostrils. Cool air breathing in, warm air breathing out. Even soft, and deep breathing. Look towards the inside. Your mind rests in itself. By stilling your thoughts, a new order arises. You can see here in this card, there is maybe, I don't know if you can see on the screen. There's a body resting, there's clouds. Just looks like a beautiful dreamscape. And I think this card is a reminder of just how very important rest is. The previous card, super challenging card, emotionally, physically, and this one is the medicine for that. You know, if we are brave enough, diligent enough to navigate the Three of Swords, then here we absolutely must make space and time for recovery, restoration, rest. And so there's quite a few, there's some different ones here, and let's just go through these one by one, and as always I'll pick my top 5. There's something really kind of beautiful. Now this is the Herb Crafter, and this one is the Thoth Journey Tarot. And both of these decks talk about borders. And I know that if you're following this series, you're very much aware of the number 4 and the structure that it provides. But I really like the word border. There's a level of protection that we must provide for ourselves while we are recovering. Sometimes it may be the walls of our home or our room. It could be the walls of a retreat or an ashram. And in the Herb Crafter Tarot, all of the 4s create our border plants. And there's some interesting things here in this lavender card that Letitia Guthrie writes about. Contemplation precedes action. Important sentence considering what's going to happen in the 5 of Swords. Build a foundation for deeper understanding. Create space for rest and pull away from the outside world. Lavender is a popular border plant. The strong scent keeps unwanted animals from entering the garden, and the woody stems keep other plants from encroaching. put up strong boundaries and retreat behind them. So I'm reminded here of the notion of viracocha or viracocha, and boundaries protection is put up in lots of different traditions and practices. It's so important. So this may not be physical walls. It can also be energetic protection. I know sometimes when there is concern about wildlife in the forest, I will often, before I enter, I will put a layer of protection around myself and the pets that I'm walking with. I have a deep, peaceful relationship with the forest, and it's not really a concern, and yet I feel that this adds a layer of connection by honoring the protection that we all need to set for ourselves. And that's also not just a layer of protection against me and wildlife, but it is also creating sacred space for my walk so that I may relax and meditate and focus on my breath and not worry about anything. So I think there's a few ways this card could be interpreted differently as that layer of protection that we may need in certain places and in certain ways. Commitment to self-care, this is still from the Herb Crafter, eases conflict in other areas of your life. Lavender clears the air and relieves tension. Let your emotions settle and your mind relax. Take a breath from gathering thoughts and ideas. You have already learned so much. Allow what you have studied to sink into your bones. So this, I like the way that this deck is organized, that each of the numbers are a specific kind of plant, and all of the fours are border plants, and it's really kind of beautiful the way that all weaves together. Now, in the Thoth Journey Tarot, if you don't know this deck, the extra guidebook is a journal that is created by the deck creator, not the artist, and she wanders from let's call it a sacred space, into a dream. And there is a beautiful, free-flowing description of each of these dreamscapes that she enters into to experience each of the cards. And the art is gorgeous, and the journal entries are really beautiful. I mentioned, I think yesterday, that I spent a great deal of time with the Asherah Tarot, and I did a personal side-by-side of the Asherah and this deck, the Thoth Journey Tarot. They're both Thoth-inspired decks. And it was really well worth my time. Now I want to read to you a little bit from the journal of this journey. And you can see there is a round space in the center of the card. There's also this sort of energetic level of protection in the sky as well too. I just noticed that. And then there are 4 buildings. And this is a school that she wanders upon in her dream. Okay, so we are in China. she sees the determined figure of a Shaolin monk with long braided gray hair and a rather ornate robe approaching her with steady, measured steps. He comes to an abrupt halt directly in front of her and announces news of a school over which he presides in the city of Xian. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation. Xian. Situated many days' travel to the east. The monk carefully describes the school, making out some of his meaning with pebbles on the ground and pointing out the various features. Built around a circular central courtyard and created to train monks, it is shaped like a cross, with each of the 4 arms representing a different element. As he relays the details and descriptions in carefully modulated tones, she becomes aware of the building before her arising as if by magic, a dream within a dream, perhaps within a dream. Standing in the central courtyard, looking into the east, she sees a choir of children singing as they learn about the power of the voice, the weapon of the word, and the creativity and cruelty of the sword. Looking into the north, a group of children are carving and fashioning the most beautiful objects from clay, metal, and stone, placing their intent within them, giving them beauty, form, and power. In the western quarter, the children learn the healing arts, the care of others, the strength of tenderness, the renewal of faith, and the magical power of love. Finally, the children in the south display martial arts, a fighting formation of Tai Chi to express the energy and power of faith and spiritual purity necessary to enable feats of inhuman capability in the face of opposition. So in this 4 of air, we have a dream of a school that teaches its students ways to master, to understand, to work with the elements. And the whole picture brings together this space of balance and peace, and it's a circle with 4 corners, and there's just something about this space that is, I mean, can you imagine a school that actually organized itself in this way with so much intention? What well-centered and grounded, and it's really something. So in connection to a 4 of Swords, there's a level of protection, both energetically in the sky, but also within the shape of the school. There's the experience of restoration as harmony and balance and well-roundedness that comes here. I just find this card really intriguing, certainly worthy of what restoration might actually mean. Maybe the word restoration and maybe healing itself requires a balancing of all of the elements and a deeper understanding of all of the elements. So I really wanted to share that with you. I did share the Red Seeds Tarot yesterday, and here is another card. This is my favorite suit in this deck, and I just love that they chose the bees here. The power of healing in this air suit, and here it is a beautiful pose of meditation, and I can just imagine being mesmerized and almost tranquilized by the sound of the bees as I drifted into a meditation. Now, of course, the journey of this deck is much more than that, but I particularly like the depiction in this card. And I know there are a few decks that have meditation poses for this card, and I think that fits really, really well. Okay, what else do we have on the table today? Now, I just had to put this card out. I mean, I could have actually put out I have this picture of my children when the first three were younger, and perhaps the third child was 1. So they would be about 1, 3, and 5. They were a little closer together in age than that. And they're sleeping. It's after a day of play in the sun in front of a cabin that we rented one summer. And they're all just asleep, side by side on a blanket. It wasn't an intention to put them down for a nap, but they all just fell asleep together. And when I look at this picture, this card, I just think of how well and how beautiful it is to watch children rest and heal. And I don't know, this card really touches me. This is quite a different scene. This is from the Literary Tarot, and this is Walden. And I know we all have our, maybe we don't, I hope we do, all have our Walden. This would be a beautiful card to journey into pathworking. And if, where is the guidebook? I'll just read you a couple of words. I don't have the large book on the table. The Literary Tarot has a little white book that comes with it, as well as a larger one. But from the little white book, it says, whether your home ought to be in the wonder and wildness of the green, deep tarns and honeyed air of Elfland, or among the warm hearths and hearts of the children of earth, find it in joy, hope, and harmony. This is not the right card. That's from the Four of Ink. That's not from Walden. Oh my goodness. That was beautiful, whatever I just read. That was for the Four of Ink. The Four of Ink. Which I think is Wands. Four of Wands. Okay, let's find Four of Quills. That was beautiful. Okay, Four of Quills is Walden by Henry David Thoreau. Sanctuary, a noble thing. Rest, too, in a moment of vitality. Those who live well return to their silences to remember what they labor for. This is the essential restoration. Humankind must sleep to be truly awake. And I think about the greater awareness there is today of having too much cortisol and how important sleep is to the balancing of that. And that first piece that I read to you from a different four, it reminds me that all of the fours create sacred space, healing space. And that is, of course, only one aspect of the fours. But take that mistake of reading that piece to you as a reminder of looking for sacred space in all of the minor fours. Okay, this has always been a favorite card of mine. This is from the Star Seeker Tarot. And I imagine these are quite heavy swords. You know, the metal is really kind of heavy, and it would be a deep wind chime, something that would be so mesmerizing, whether you were lying on a chair outside or reclining on a chair outside, or you were listening to this through your bedroom window. I just find this really, really peaceful. This is, I think I've shared a few cards from this deck. This one is called the Low Rider Dachshund Tarot. And again, we have this level of protection, as in the Newt card, right? We have this level of protection. When we are at rest, when we want the experience of rest for restoration, whether we are walking in the forest or lying in our bed, remember to set up that layer of protection and sacred space so that you can rest deeply and heal. And here in this card, we have the owner's dog protecting the very tired and owner, well-deserved sleep. A really touching, very touching card. And this is from the Dark Goddess Tarot. And one of the things about the mythology of Newt that I really like, and if I were to be buried in a coffin, I think I might write this down. But I'm going to read it to you because otherwise I'll just ramble on. Called Protector of the Dead, Newt is painted on the inside lid of the sarcophagus or on the vaults of tombs, so she may enfold the soul placed within. Within the star-filled sky, souls are protected from all evil while they are refreshed. The dying pray, "O my mother Newt, stretch yourself over me, that I may be placed among the imperishable stars that are in you, and that I may not die. For a soul may die if it is," you know, all the mythology about Mott and so forth. I love this card as a reminder of, and this was the card that got me thinking about the connection of Viracocha, you know, setting a bubble, a space around you, which can be done in just a breath. You don't need smoke or sage or anything. You just intend that that bubble of protection, that sacred space for you to restore. Yeah. So these are a few thoughts on this really important card in the tarot, and I'd like to choose five important ones here. They're all really lovely, aren't they? Okay, so I am kind of enthralled with this card, and I need to remember this card when I see other decks. That question that I asked, what does it actually mean to restore? So that's kind of important. I think the mythology of Newt is really significant here as well, too. Yeah. Okay. Now, I would like to keep this card as a reminder to create our own Walden, our own sacred space, our own, how important it is to have our own place of peace. You know, sometimes I have students and people I'm working with, they say, well, I don't have a room that I can dedicate to meditation. And you don't need that much space. Sometimes I think having a little box or something, and in that box you have maybe a small altar cloth and a candle and some matches or a lighter and maybe a tiny deck of cards, so that you can take that anywhere you go and you can create your sacred space wherever and whenever there is time for that. So let's leave that one there. And then, hard to choose. Is there another one here that speaks to sound? Because sound is an important part of this suit. So maybe I'll leave this one here for sound. Okay, there we go. 4 of swords. Left to right, star seeker, literary, herb crafter, thoth journey, and dark goddess. Okay, thank you. I will see you in the next episode. Namaste.